How many of you like to eat food? Yeah, I knew that answer. And how many of you wouldn't mind having abundant energy? Well, my name is Adam Hart, and I want to welcome you to Power of Food. The session today, we are doing an In the Raw session, a cooking class where we are going live for the first time ever through live stream and through TwitCam. So for all you viewers out there, this is the first time you're seeing this. We'll probably have a little bit of ups and downs, but we're going to give it a whirl and see how it goes today. All in preparation for my new website that's going to be up come the new year. So today I want to introduce you to some of my favorite foods, some of the foods that allowed me to gain control over my once pre-diabetic state, my once excessive weight, where I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now today. Okay, so we're going to get started. Now we're going to do the kale chips. Now for the kale chips, super easy. Now I'm not sure if you're familiar with kale, but if you're not, one of the superfoods that are out there. Now this is an amazing source of calcium, of iron, of protein. This is one of the things that I had no idea growing up, eating all the wrong kinds of foods, that I could actually get protein from a kale. That's something that for me was amazing, where I grew up all meat and potato. How many of you can relate to growing up all meat and potatoes? Yeah, well that was it. If I didn't have meat on my plate, where is my protein coming from? Where's my iron coming from? If I wasn't eating dairy all the time, where's my calcium coming from? These are things that I heard all throughout my childhood and growing up, and discovered that there are abundant sources of iron and calcium and protein found in all natural whole foods that are easier on the body to digest. This is one of those power foods. Now kale is not often one of those green leafy vegetables that you want to eat raw. I love it, it's great, but for people who are coming over from, the iceberg and romaine, the traditional style lettuces, this might be a little bit more bitter for you. I love it. It has a great earthy flavor, a little bit of salt to it, but if you want to, the one recipe that you can do right away is you can dice this up really fine. This is just an example of something else that you can do besides the chips we're going to make. But you can dice up that guy really fine. If you have a bowl handy, you just put that into a bowl like so. So now you have your kale in a bowl. All you need to do is throw in just a little bit of lemon juice. I like to buy all raw organic lemon juice, and what you do is you just massage the lemon juice into the kale and leave it for about 20 minutes. And what you'll find is that the acid from the lemon juice will actually start to absorb into the kale and make it a little bit more wilted for you, which for many of us is something that will help us to eat it. A little bit more familiar with that kind of texture like the iceberg does. But any way that you can get kale into your diet, phenomenal choice, because it is a power food. Tons of fiber as well, so want to get that in there. Now in order to make your chips, what I want to do here first is I want to put in a bit of a mix. A mix for what I'm going to marinate the kale in first before I make the chips. So for example, what I like to do is I'll put in a little bit of tamari, which is soy sauce. I'm not a big fan of soy. That's a whole other conversation that we'll have at another point. But a little bit once in a while for me is okay. Throw in a little bit of lemon juice, just like so. I have here a little bit of stone ground organic mustard. Now, I love this stuff. Organic mustard for me in cooking is in a lot of my recipes. So just throw a little bit of that in there. Let that cool. So I'm going to use that for another recipe. And I'm going to grind a little bit of black pepper right in there. And I'm going to grab my grater here, and I'm going to take a little bit of my ginger, which ginger is a phenomenal antioxidant. Amazing way to decrease inflammation by using ginger, and really adds a nice punchy flavor to a lot of dishes. And I'm going to grab my egg whisker, and I'm just going to whisk all that up. And I'm going to just dice up my freshly washed kale. Now I don't want to dice it up too fine. I want to create chips, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting off the stem, the end of the kale. There's chip size. And for the camera down below, I don't think I showed you this, guys, so I'll throw that right there. That's the actual chip after it's dehydrated. And I'm gonna mix those all in there. I'm gonna do one more. Now, if you think about it, the price of a bag of chips, you know, for a cheap bag of chips, it's not gonna be very healthy for you. It has a lot of additives and preservatives. You probably get that for about $1.50, but it's not gonna be all that healthy for you. Well, you can get a bunch of kale, you know, sort of 3 or 4 times as much as that for about $2 and turn them into chips for less money than it costs you for a bag of chips. And on a nutritional level, you're getting so much more out of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to close that up with my kale in there. I'm just going to mix it all around, upside down. Alright, so now each of the pieces of kale has been coated a little bit with the marinade, and I'm going to grab my dehydrator. Dehydrator tray, and this is the tray that will come with your dehydrator if you purchase one. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay out the kale on the dehydrator like so. Nothing fancy, it's very easy. Everything for me is all about ease. If it's difficult to do, you're not going to want to do it. And me growing up all fast food and processed foods, when I started to discover the power of food, it had to be easy for me, and it took me a while. And eventually I got to the point where my kitchen became what I consider a whole foods kitchen. Everything in my kitchen is based on 6 different foods, all the whole foods. And there's only 6 of them: nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, fruits, and vegetables. That's it. And I follow what I've preached for a long time now, and what I teach is called the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time, my diet is made up of whole foods. The other 20%, I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want.
No way. You're kidding me, right?
It can't include these foods. Chicken wings, hamburgers, whatever it is. That way there's no restrictions to my lifestyle, no restrictions to my diet whatsoever. I can still enjoy all the foods that I grew up loving, but now when I eat the power foods, the 80% of the time, my body feels phenomenal. And most of the time I don't even want to eat the other kinds of foods, but I still do enjoy going out to the bar once in a while, going out with a bunch of friends, and I don't want to restrict myself. So it works out very well. Now all you do is you put the lid back on the dehydrator. I'm going to turn it on. Now the dehydrator's on, and it's begun dehydrating those kale chips. And eventually, in about 12 hours or so, they're going to turn into amazing, amazing chips. So good, and so nutritious for you. So really super easy to do.
After 12 hours, pull out your chips. This is what you're going to have: a healthy snack for on the go, anytime, anywhere.
It's got everything to do with the food you put in your mouth. And I want to teach you how to do that. I want to help show you the way. So continue to stay tuned to more episodes of In the Raw, I guess we can call this, In the Raw with Power of Food. And I'm Adam Hart, and I look forward to seeing you again. I hope that you eat some kale chips. I hope that you try the dried mangoes, and definitely get on the smoothies. Throw in the hemp seed too. Okay, I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks very much for showing up. See you later.